win, I don't mean to offend. The greatest on the mic, mightiest with the pen. Losing never been a choice, but a line is the same. Ascend and word, bending birds, birthed in the gym. Akin to the best, never aiming for less. Opposition so foul, got me calling for rest. Who's next to get bested? Mind, soul, and flesh is antithesis of mess. It's the pressure so free. So long, you better catch a God throwing blessings. Dreams manifested, you get what I mean. God always had a plan, he created for me. Success only means that I did what he seen. Got the game and the fans locked in like a key. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Yeah, I think we got one.
Hello there.
How you doing?
Hey, family.
It's
How
always a
you
question.
doing?
Hello, Coach Shawny.
Hello, Dr. Knight. Hello, Gregory.
Yes.
The new name?
See, she calls me Gregory, and so there's a collection of people that call me that too, but she's the only one that calls me that on a regular.
I don't know what it is about him that just says Gregory.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's
just in Coach Shawny world.
Yeah, like I say, I got a couple of other folks that do the same, but it's she's the only one that does it on a regular. So I told her I'm gonna have to end up getting a shirt that says that across the front, just so people go, "Is that your real first name?" No, that's just my name.
And it should say the Coach Shawny collection. Gregory.
There you go. So we are in this spot. So those of you who have been following on the Knight&Craig journey, this is season 3, and you are the second guest we've got. Those who have heard the name, this is Coach Shawny, aka not AK-47, but
Jesus,
aka.
I mean, it was gunning, it was shooting right now.
Yeah, right.
And I ate too. I ate on the road.
Didn't I tell you it didn't matter? It did not. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether he eats or not. And maybe that's where Gregory came from. How did you discover Gregory? How did you?
It just came. Like it just literally poof, Gregory. And it has stuck, which is really weird, Dr. Knight. I'm calling you Dr. Knight. I just love it.
She's all official with me today. I love it. Listen, we got Coach Shawny B, Shawn Brown, international superstar, hair extraordinaire, all of the things on the show today. All of you are
every woman. Yes.
All right. Yes. You got it, girl. And we have so many things in common, including being amazing, inspirational, loving,
friend,
kind, respectful. We're going to learn a new version or acronym for coach, but in the world's vernacular, we are both coaches and we are both parents. Yes, and the journey that we're talking about today, Greg, I don't know. Our conversations behind the scenes be something amazing. Right. We're talking about coaching as parents. We're talking about being in the role where we have our coach's hat on. You wear a hat today, hobby fitting, right? Where we wear these multiple hats, and do they ever come off, right? Or are we always in this space where we're so multifunctional and multifaceted and complex and all the things. So how do we coach as parents? We're coaching the world, but how do we coach as parents also? And what does that look like? And Craig has also been a coach, an actual sports coach, and you've coached your kids also. So it's when are we the parent? When are we the coach? When are we both? Are we always this, that, and the other? That's kind of the conversation today. And based on the pre-conversation, I'm excited and nervous about where this is going to go because it got real deep, real quick. And if you were watching any of the clips leading up to this, the little snippets and all that stuff, it's going to get dicey. So I'm going to let it go. But welcome to our home. Welcome to our show. Welcome to where healing and wholeness takes place.
Well, when you say where healness and wholeness takes place, then that we gonna slice it and dice it. And whenever Coach Shawny steps into the room, the real conversation is going down. Like, I love it. Like, I like to dive all the way in. Let's touch the bottom of the pool.
Yes.
And come on back up.
Yes, I love it.
Look at
So
Craig's face.
he may not be ready. I don't know. He may not be ready, but I'm ready. So
I'm
Shawny,
just
tell us
chilling.
a little bit about, your practice and what you do and who you are, and then we could take the conversation from there.
Absolutely. Well, I was saying in I call them pre-production, but in our pre-show conversation, I'm so sorry, y'all, because I got to be super honest. I can't stand the word coach. I can't stand it. I feel like it's one of those things that's so oversaturated, and there's people out there that are coaching that aren't really doing the thing. And so I hate being affiliated with that. But for me, coach is an acronym, and it is challenge, optimize, accelerate, collaborate, and heal. And that is what I do. My main branch, or I should say arm of coaching, comes in my Making Your Brand division of my organization. When I talk about making your brand, YOU, you are the star of your show. And so for me, coaching is about helping a human be authentically and only what they were called and created to be. So I can't make you anything, but what I can do is walk alongside you and help you facilitate your journey to becoming you. And I call myself a player coach, because I'm playing this game of life. And, my tagline is master the game of life. So I'm playing the game of life every day. So I'm just a player coach, just helping people really be themselves. Those that want to be themselves, be themselves.
Listen, it is a willingness and a wellness journey, because like you said, we can't make anyone do anything. And one of the things that I always say is everything that we need is already inside of us.
That's right.
My role on the transformational journey, it's to help you find your voice that's been buried by oppression, depression, anxiety, manipulation, abuse, whatever it is, help you pull out an experience, a transformational experience based on those things. And one of the things I say is that there's not only a life, but there is living beyond those devastating moments.
Absolutely.
And they're all purposeful. And if we believe the word is true, then all of these things are coming together for our good. It don't feel good at the time.
No,
but it's going to work for our good. And so that's a message I think can resonate true for a lot of people. One last thing I'll say is sometimes people misunderstand the role of a coach. Like you and I, as those transformational type people, we're not telling people what to do, because there is limited accountability to tell somebody what to do, and there is deniability when you tell somebody what to do. They can say, well, Coach Shawny told me to do that, or Dr. Knight told me to do that, or Coach Craig, or what have you. And so I love that it's about their willingness to identify the need to change and to feel that and to walk in that. So Craig, how about you? Like, tell us about your coaching journey.
My coaching journey, I want to strangle my players half the time. But like Shell T, the comedian, always says, you don't want to strangle them all the way in. You just almost all the way out, and then you bring them back and shake them in it. So, so that's what I'm trying not to do, because I got a kid right now. That's every time we talk about his college experience, what he's going to do, not in this case, what he's not doing at the moment. I'm like, dude, you got to do something. You can't keep laying in the bed till noon and then play video games till midnight and think that you're going to be prepared to go to whatever your college experience is going to be. But I had to continue to just let him call his shot, because he's going to be 18 in a few weeks. And if his shot is going to be a no shot, which is still a shot, I have to let him call it, because that's what he needs to learn from a mistake, learn from a failure. So it's tough watching your kids fail and watching your player fail, who's got so much potential, so much, but he doesn't have the drive. But the drive's got to come from way down deep. And another kid that's why I was late joining the call. We drove all the way to LA to spend 15 minutes to turn around in the car and drive all the way back. But that kid was driven. He was not driven by me, but he's driven on the inside. He wanted to get his place to stay. He wanted to be established. He wanted to prioritize this lodging for his next focus spot of life for the next 2 years. And so we did it.
Yeah, that's an important point, that all of our kids are different. All people are different, right? And so what tools or techniques we may use with one person to help get them where they want to be, and the tools that we use for another may not work so well. And Shawny, you have two children. And so how do you see your role as coach with them differently?
Well, it's interesting because I have three. I have a bonus daughter. My oldest is a bonus.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's okay. And you know, I'm gonna start with my bonus daughter. My bonus daughter is like staring myself in the face.
I love that.
And you know, I'm always gonna be very honest. My husband, in the raising of her, he didn't really participate. And so when I look at her and I coach her, I'm coaching the 20 some odd year old version me. And it's almost like a second opportunity for me to impact me at that age. So much like me. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the core wound. But then I also have to remember she has a mama. And so it is a really fine line. But when she gives me the opportunity, I really find myself sharing my experience. So I'm almost like an experiential coach. Like, I'm gonna lace you up with this. This is what happened. And now you can take it from there, right? My son, I probably overcoached him to death growing up, right? Because he was my firstborn, and I didn't have a dad, and I ran into a lot of jackals my day. And I did not want a son that turned out like the men that I had come across in my life. So if I'm really super honest, I spent so much time coaching and directing. My job now is to shut up. So I really keep my voice pretty silent when it comes to Quentin Thomas Brown. And that's a weird thing too, because he's so used to me being vocal that I'm like, son, you don't need to hear another word out of my mouth. You already know what I'm gonna do. You can watch me. So you watch from the stands. You can take the moves that I make that you like, take them and add them to your game or not, but you don't really need to hear another word from me. And my daughter, man, I so enjoy, I call my coaching with her conversational and relational. So as we relate to one another and spend time with one another, we get to just have conversation. And as she talks, and then she opens up the door for me to talk, I really just share with her, you know, sweetie, I see you. So I try to be more uplifting with her versus, babe, do this, do that, do this. I'm more letting her speak it out. She needs to get it out. And then as she speaks it out, then I just am more of an encouragement so that she can find her own path and make her own decisions. You know, mommy is over. They're 24 and 25. It's time for them to chart their own courses.
I love that, because that's the ultimate theme of what we're talking about is uncharted, right? This uncharted territory. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the overall theme of, you know, season 3 and bringing in these other voices, is that we're all on a journey. We're all on a different journey, but we're all on a collective journey. And part of this is for this particular conversation around parenting. We have a blended family of 7 kids. So the older 3 are my husband's older kids, and then the youngest of the 4 older is my bonus daughter from my first marriage. And then the 3 that we have together at home, blended family. We can have you back for that conversation too, because that's interesting as well. So we have 2 from my first marriage, my son. So I was a boy mom first, like you, and then we have one together. So neither one of us really had a co-parenting experience based on the 2 divorces, but only having children with our first marriage. And the co-parenting experience that I kind of had with my bonus daughter, I call her my inherited daughter actually, is she was 3 when I met her, and I kind of parented with the grandparents. So even that was a different type of experience because the mom was not in the picture. And so I think there's a piece of this that we talked about that I think is relevant here is like the unparenting experience, right? Not doing what we did, not doing what our parents did with us. And so my conversation with the boys, just going to talk about the biological children and only make this differential for this conversation because I carried them. I've been there from day one. Was like you were saying, we talk about raising men, and I remember having a conversation to say, "Mom, I'm not raising boys, right? I'm raising men, but I'm a woman, and so I don't know what it's like to be a man. So I want to be able to raise gentlemen." So I started dating them, as a single parent, meaning taking them out to a nice restaurant. At that time, it was probably Olive Garden, but having them open up the door for me, having them open up the car door, having them learn how to pump gas, teaching them how to wash their behind and keep their nails clean and how to brush their teeth and stuff like that, like preparing them for a space and time that I may not be able to go in with them. So in that way, I was coaching them that way. Caitlin, my 9-year-old, almost 10-year-old, that is a mini me. And so we talk about everything. And so when you're talking about looking in that mirror, I see her. I have a video I'm going to post. She was like, "Mom, I want to make breakfast for you this morning." It had been a long weekend, and we can talk about that later because you said it's written all over your face. We can talk about that. But she's like, "I want to make you breakfast." And I'm like, okay, next thing I know, I'm hearing Jill Scott, playing in the background, and she's singing and making eggs and doing. And I'm like, this girl. So I had to get a video of that. I had to get a video of it because I coach and I parent her very different. She won't know what it's like, I pray, to not have both parents in the home and not have the brokenness that the older kids had to grow up with me and their dad, So it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
It's funny you talked about the brokenness. My bonus son is my oldest, Shane, and he knew what it was growing up without both parents until he was 5. And then we got married when he was 6. But he also knew briefly what it was like to not have his mom. So it's interesting. I never thought about that right now. He has the bookends of not having a dad and then not having a mom and what that has looked like in his life. The hardest thing in my house in coaching, he was the easiest of all the kids to coach. From 5 on, that kid, it was just.
But Shane seemed easy to me. I don't know from when he was little.
Yeah,
he just seemed like the perfect son.
Yeah.
And I try not to compare the other 4 to
Please
him.
Don't.
But it is so just like, and I don't ever tell him like, "What the hell, you and I like your brother?" But I'm like, in my mind, I'm screaming all the time, like, "What in the unholy hell is going on right now with you, and you? Why are you not like you?" But so we have to coach different in the transitioning from the actual head coach to more of the GM is really what I had to put the GM hat on with the rest of them because you have to let them do.
Yeah. It's true.
I want you to take this, Coach Shawny, but where I'm going with this is when you just said the word comparison, that is a unparenting opportunity, unlearning opportunity. And sometimes I don't think I didn't see that as much with my dad, even though I was the 7th girl. So it could have been really easy. Like, you should be more like, I didn't really see it like that with him. But there are some things I think, and it may go with the blended family too, of like being a step parent, my mom having been a step parent. And there's this delineation between my kids versus your kids versus our kids. I don't think it's intentional because for her, it doesn't exist, but what we feel in the comparison, right? Our experience knowing who's who in the zoo. And that is something that, my husband and I practice not doing, is making that, well, you're his daughter, you're not my daughter, or you're his son. But do you have an experience like that where what you're unlearning, what you had to unlearn from your parental experience or parented experience versus how you parent?
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Unparented is a whole thing because I'm still, as a 54-year-old woman, unparenting myself from the areas in which I'm impacted from my growing up.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about me as a parent, this sounds so bad, but I'm a truth teller. I hated my childhood. Like, I hated it. So there was nothing in my childhood that I wanted to bring into. So for me, it was pretty simple. As from the get, I was like, oh, snap. I did not see anything other than, birthday parties and Christmases. And at 13, I got a bedroom. I duplicated that. Those three things. And that's how it was jacked up. When you can really whittle it down to the three things that you added to your game from your growing up. So it was pretty simple for me. I was a clean slate, and I knew I had a lot of learning to do. I was not about to beat my children. I was not about to disregard them and discount them. I was not about to leave them at home alone for hours on end. I was not about to make them feel guilty and bad for all A's and one C. I was not going to do that. I knew the anxiety that I lived with and was still working out of. I just didn't want to do that. Now, did I do this thing perfectly? Absolutely not. I did not do it perfectly. And so I am constantly giving my kids the permission. I want to give them intel on what I know I didn't do right. So I spend a lot of time apologizing. And then I'm like, hey, babe, I taught you that and that's wrong. I taught you that and I was wrong. I'm sorry for that and I was wrong. So I'm trying as best I can to make their journeys easier. Yeah. I hope I answered the question
perfectly. You did that perfect. Oh. And I think when we ask our older kids sometimes, like, how did we do? We have those kind of conversations. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. And I think that's a good thing, like a humility thing. Yeah. But I think that they see sometimes us very differently than we see ourselves because we're going through all the things, right? Yeah. We're going through all those things as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it too, because when you have those conversations, those clarifying moments, you can learn a lot. I used to actually video record my sons giving me the what should I do more of, the what should I do less of, and those kind of corrective things. I did those, I think, up until about 5 years ago. And you could tell they were kind of hesitant at first to say. But after like the second or third or fourth time I had to do it, almost like an annual review. Okay, how did I do this year? Can I get a raise? Kind of thing. And I did it mostly after their mom passed because I needed to know, where are we all doing good, bad, or different, because it was so, it was an uncharted territory, like it's like this series. And it was so healthy and healing for me because it helped me know what they needed along the way. But I wouldn't change it for the world in terms of that aspect of getting the word and the truth from them at such an age, and then reminding them and creating the space that it's okay for them to express that in a respectful way.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was facilitating earlier today, I told you guys, and so part of the culture inclusion program that I talk about is psychological safety. like
Yeah.
how not to be punished for having an idea that might be different, having an opinion that might go against the grain, but learning to speak up without fear of retaliation. And how if companies can invite that, you might get the $1 million idea from a person, because sometimes we get in the routine of doing things the same. You know, I'm very routine oriented, but we get in this routine, and then we're not looking outside of like, is this actually working? It's just what I'm doing. And that's what I love about what you just said, Craig. It's like, what would be better if? And that's a question to ask my coaches, and that's, I mean, my clients. That's also a question to ask my family. So we have family meetings, like, you know, what's going on with everybody, and we still eat dinner together at least one time a week, because not everybody lives at home anymore. And learning the kids at the age that they are, and allowing them to learn me where I am, because I'm not 22 anymore. My sons are the age that I was when I had them. And so it's like, I'm not the same person. This is not the same slate. And this is a conversation that I've been having with my mom. The other thing we're going to talk about, Shawny, is Coach Shawny, is parenting parents. My mom does not know. She knows me, but I don't really know if she knows how much what I've gone through has influenced who I am, even though I'm still her baby daughter. You know, I'm always going to be the daughter. I'm always going to be the baby girl. I'm always going to be these things in her mind. But this right here and this right here and these are different. They're different than they were. These right here, they different. That they've been through something. And so I'm trying to learn her too at 70 something years old, because she looks the same. My mom has always been the same size from, am I lying, Craig? My mom is still a size 12. And she's 7. I'm gonna tell it, Mama, you're 76, and you should be proud of that. Because if you look like you was 96, we'd be talking about you. But I realize that she's aging, and she's changing, and I want to get to know her for this person. And so there's this new relationship that has to evolve, because we all been through some stuff. And so I love that you're talking, Craig, about the transitions that happen in people's lives, and an opportunity for us to evaluate. Not that we've been perfect, like you said, Shawny. I've had to apologize to my kids too. And I think that that's very important to model, that we're not always right. And I'm not going to always say it perfectly, but my intent, if my impact, if the intent that I have is pure, but I'm impacting you in a negative way, I have to own that.
That's right.
Because somewhere in there, I didn't say something the way that I understood you would understand the way I communicate with you based on our relationship. I think I said that correctly.
No, you really
So
did.
It was perfect.
I was sitting here with Ryan today. We were in the leasing office for his new apartment, and he actually took the time to read his entire lease agreement to me, to make sure that there was nothing in there that I didn't understand. And if there's something I didn't understand, he would make notes and ask the people, you know, what about this? What about that? And make sure he was not doing something that was going to keep him caught up. And when I had asked him to make a couple of notes here, and so he got one of the 2 notes or 3 notes when we got to the place he asked it, but the others he didn't ask. So I asked him, I said, yeah, I have a question. I said, so excuse me, so I don't mean to talk for you, but if you don't mind, if you don't mind if I ask this question. And he said, no, Dad, please. So because I had to make sure he understood that this is a big boy decisions that he's doing right now. This is your first of many leases and he's the only name on the lease. He has no co-signer or guarantor at all.
Deep.
He's in there all by himself at 19 years old. And
Beautiful.
he's 19. So I was making sure that the people at the leasing office also knew that, look, this is a grown man here. You're dealing with him. My question is about this or that or the other. And when I let them know that in that conversation that he read the lease. I said, and when he was reading the lease to me, there was a couple of sections that didn't make any sense. We needed clarification on. So they understood that it wasn't that he just signed something and didn't read it. They automatically, oh, this kid actually read it. And what's funny is I did that on all the contracts I've ever signed. And people used to ask me all the time, well, what do you understand it all? Nope, I don't understand it all. But the parts I don't, whoop, whoop, and ask. And so he got his questions all answered, and he said, told me, he says, Dad, I appreciate you for walking with me through this process.
Hmm.
And I think one of the things that helped me, even with the post I did a couple days ago, it says it doesn't matter how old your child gets, you never stop walking with them. They may
Mhm.
just not let you hold their hand, but
Mhm.
it's the truth. We have to let them
Mhm.
be who they are and
Yeah.
love them the same.
Yeah. Love them as they grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, love them as
I
they
don't
grow.
know. I tell you one thing I try not to do. I'm trying not to do like Coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. He ranks
Mm.
his children the one he loves the most down to the least. But and I know he does it tongue in cheek, but he tells them, "Oh no, you in first place because of this, you in last place because of this." At my house, oh my goodness, if I had a ranking
Don't do
system,
it.
no, I know, but in my
Okay.
mind, I'm like,
Whew. Yeah. I get that. But see, that may be something that he's developed a relationship with them to be able to do.
And it's a
So
joke. Maybe it's a,
it,
they know
it
them, but
may,
he knows.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I don't say I don't know him. I just see from what he says on the social media and TV and stuff. It's said in kind of jokingly as he explains it, but I think
yes.
even we do even the most funny things, there's a level and
May-
degree of
Of
truth in
seriousness. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
right. And like you said, Michelle, I'm
Yes.
sure he's got a relationship with them where they all know that's serious about some things. And
Yeah.
he loves us all the same. But in terms of what we're doing, either for him, to him, without him, and around him, we kind of fit right now in the pecking order of good, better. And
Yep.
I think he enjoys the competitive nature of how that
Oh.
does that for, because one of the kids that's usually in first was supposed to have picked him up from the airport in this one particular, scene I saw or social post I
Mhm.
saw. And the kid sent an Uber for him, a car to pick him up. And I would have thought it don't matter how I get from the
How I get home,
airport.
I don't care.
Right. And that man was pissed. He says, "No,
Yeah.
I wanted you to come pick me. And I told you to come get me. Don't send no car for me. When I tell
I'm
you,
with prime time on that.
but you,
Really? Yeah, I don't care. Just get me home.
yeah.
I don't care. So long
Why?
as I
Mm-mm.
get home.
Yeah. So how does it? Why is it different? Why do you agree with Prime, Michelle?
Because I'm trusting you. Now, if I asked you and you said, "Mom, I can't," and I need to send an Uber for you, that's one thing. But if you told me you was gonna come and you don't show up and you send me an Uber, I, I'm like, first of all, why wasn't this communicated earlier?
Yeah.
Like when I was calling and asking you, barring an emergency. But I'm
Yeah.
like, then I would have called somebody else that I know to come pick me up. Because for me, I love to travel. But when I come home, I want to be with my family. I want to be with my people. And I didn't write this real talk. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy. I didn't ride in an Uber. My first Uber ride ever was a year ago.
Huh?
My first ride in the Uber, maybe two. Wait, when did my friend get married? She celebrated her second 2 years ago. Was my first Uber ride ever. I
Wow.
don't. I don't.
Wow.
I don't. And so it wasn't their first
So
Uber
does that
ride.
make sense? Though that makes sense, right? Because that's not something you do.
No, it's not. I'm usually driving, and that's partly control, and that's partly motion sickness. And my husband's and my mom's driving has ruined me. So I prefer to be in control. And then with Uber, I was just like, this is a stranger. Like I had judgment about that. And so when they were like, "Oh, we're going to Vegas, let's do this, let's do that," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. If we're all going to be safe, but I'm getting a rental car." And they were like, "Shell, drive in the Uber with us, right?" And so I sat in the front and I was like, "What's your name? Where you at? What's going on?" I had questions. So don't send me no Uber to pick me up. I want to be sure I'm getting in the right car.
I will never send you an Uber.
Thank you. Come get me or
I
send
might.
Gregory.
I
Thank
might. I
Gregory.
might send you. I might send you a car.
It sounds funny coming out of your face.
Gregory. I call him Craigie, and it slips out because
Yeah.
that's childhood. But my mom be like, "You call him Craigie on air?" I was like, it's not like I'm thinking about it. So I always have to say Craig. And then, but now I got a Gregory in there too. So if you send Gregory, I might get in the car with him, but don't send Gregory because I don't know who Gregory is.
Well, I'm gonna send a car for you, so because it's a long way to the airport sometimes. So if I can't get there, I'm gonna send a car. But trust me, you will be picked up. You will have never been forgotten.
Okay.
So I have a question for Coach Shawn. When you are dealing with your children that need a certain piece of you that we don't show up in that same way for, how do you deal with the player that needs more hands-on at that moment that didn't get it? How do you unwind that situation?
Can you rephrase the question?
Okay, so when you get, say, one of your kids needs something from you that you didn't give them, and maybe you just kind of reacted to them differently than that child really needed or wanted at that moment. How do you go back and unwind and resolve, or do you, with that situation?
Well, let me say this. I'm one of those people who, I guess because of the way I grew up, I was missing so many elements, and I learned early on how to go outside and find it. I learned how to make parents. I made aunties. I made cousins. I made a family, right? And so I told my kids, and you can ask them, I cannot be everything you need. So when I would see some areas, I'd go find the replacement player. Let me go get you a replacement player because I can't help you right here.
Yep.
I can't help you. I have no problem, and I think that's the question. I just wanted my kids to be okay. I'm telling you, I guess I had an unfair advantage to this thing because it was so bad. Right?
I mean to laugh, but you're smiling and I can't help it.
Yeah, you gotta laugh. I'm at the place where I can laugh now. It was so bad. I was like, oh, Jesus. Okay, I'll give you an example. When my son got to 14, I was like, oh, there's some areas where you're going to need a therapy. I said, you need some therapy. I went and took him right on over to Dr. Ron. Here is Dr. Ron. Help him. Help him. Then we found parents on the baseball team. It was, I can't even think of their names right now. Connor Lane's parents. I can't think of the names. But Connor Lane's parents. I was like, my child needs a surrogate family. Here he comes. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't be everything. I just couldn't. I said, I believe in coaching. I want my players to win.
Listen.
Like, I want them to win. I want them to win at all costs. I will go get a sub. Let me go get a substitute because mommy is on injured reserve on this area.
She's on
real talk. Real talk. I remember
able to perform. Can't do it.
Cannot. And you know what else? What I learned from my mom is that I shouldn't be everything to everybody. Because 99% of the time she was killing herself to be everything to everybody. And here's the spiritual side of this. God was like, this is her testimony, that at some point the Lord told her, you're talking to me about why this one ain't saved, why this one's not doing this, why this one's not doing that. Because when they need something, they don't call on me, they call you. And I also learned that was the number one way to burn out. Not only through my experiences and education, but through my experiences. When I was trying to be two parents, I could not do it. I was exhausted. And I was going to school. I was working. I was married, but still kind of single parent because at that time I was married to an addict. I didn't know what the hell that looked like. It was just like so much going on. And I was trying to, go to sing at the church and be a good minister and do this and do that. And where was my self-care? So I got to the point where I said, listen, and I do this kind of annually, and my family knows, I give people back their stuff. That's not my relationship to manage. I'm backing out. That's not, listen, all of them got through high school. One of them I had to homeschool because that's what he needed. And I got him some tutors because I am good at math, but I can't teach you how I know what I know in that area. English got you. Science, man. But I cannot, there's no way that everything that you need that I believe is already inside of you that I can perform it for you because I am killing myself. I can't do it. And so I do that. I get on those cycles and I reevaluate and I have conversations and I let go and I sleep real good at night doing that. Because we just can't. One person. We are one. I am one person.
She said, "We are one." It reminds me of the sci-fi Borg shows. We Borg are one.
We are one.
What I thought about, I'm Legion. We are many.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of different personalities in here, but at the end of the day, I am who I am, and I'm one person.
Yeah. I had to teach my kids something similar to when their mom passed. I tried to do everything: laundry and wash and iron and fold and cook and clean and Shane had already gone off to school. So I was already struggling while he was still in the house for those last few months before he had gone on. Because when Sandy passed, he went to school that same year, like 5 months later. So it was crazy trying to figure out, finding a process that you want to try to end up, that you would wind up killing yourself trying to complete. So at 9 years old, they learned how to wash clothes, clean sinks, iron for those who were the oldest ones, and then the older ones would teach the next one in line as they got to be whatever the appropriate age was to how to iron and, you know, and keep it moving, because I couldn't do it. I to this day, I still remember the day that I threw a plate of pancakes across the room at Caden and it hit the wall. It took that kid almost 5 years to eat pancakes again. He would eat waffles, but he wouldn't eat pancakes because all he remembered, not enough pancakes, you know. But we made pancakes, and all the kid asked me was, before that was, "Dad, can I have something else to eat today besides pancakes?" Because he was tired of pancakes. In my mind, I was like, just got to feed them. I don't care what it is. I just got to feed them, and pancakes, feed them is easy to go. I got to make sure they're good, and then his clothes are clean and they're washed, blah, blah, blah. But what I heard, not what he said, but what I heard was, you don't like the fact that I'm trying to feed you?
Yeah, ingratitude.
Ingratitude. And so I was like, you don't want no pancakes? You don't want to eat? Fine. Here, eat whatever you want. And clean it up too.
And that was before you identified Tyrone, obviously.
Oh, no, I think I knew Tyrone lived, but Tyrone, he had took over, and we was all in it, because then I had to go back and clean that up, and that took 5 years to finally resolve. So
yeah, I think those are powerful moments when we realize, like, I am done. Like, I'm done, and I can't have another conversation right now. I'm not going to have another conversation right now because I'm not in the right frame of mind. And that's a coaching tool too. Like, there's been plenty of times where a client would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm here for my appointment," and they're talking to people in the background. I'm like, "Do you not understand that this is confidential? Do you, maybe we should reschedule because I'm here for you." But if you can't be present with me, then what we're doing is in vain. And I'm not the type of person that's just going to take your money because we're in a contract. I want you to be helped. I want you to be in a position where you say you want to be, I'm there to support you and walk with you and have the accountability on this journey. And I see that with my kids too. They're at different places in their lives, so they're different. Two of them are around the same age. It's like, I'm going to give you everything that I have, age appropriately. I remember when one of them was in sex ed. They're 2 years apart, but they were in sex ed, and I forget, one of their friends came over, and my husband came in the room, and they're, you know, shifting around and stuff, and he was looking at the other kid was looking at some video that seemed like porn or something like that, or maybe just images. I don't know because I wasn't there. But what I did when I got home, And the kid went home. I called his mom. I was like, hey, I'm not sure exactly what happened. Told her what, whatever. And I said, this is what I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to sit down with my sons, and I'm going to go on this handy dandy device, and I'm going to show them what syphilis looks like on your genitals. This is what it looks like. This is what gonorrhea looks like on your genitals. This is what whatever. And I went down the list of STDs and showed them pictures. And I was like, so you can do whatever you thought you saw on there, but this is a consequence that's worse than having a baby. Because you can never get rid of some of the stuff that's out there. And it will eat your brain, and your body will be eating itself, because you are not equipped to handle what you think you saw over there. So let me show you the reality of the decisions that you have to make, and the reality of what can happen to you when you think that you know something that you're not ready for because you weren't willing to sit down and listen and learn. You're going to learn today. You're going to learn today. And this is what it looks like. You can bring a baby home if you want to. It's going to be cute because you cute. But there's some stuff you cannot get rid of. So don't be exposing your mind to stuff and your body and your heart and your whole experience ahead of the time that you need to. And that's where I think the power of education and the certifications and all the things that we have help us to deal with these different phases of life, not just how we went through it, but how to help them navigate through it. So in that regard, I'm happy that I'm a coach and a parent. But age appropriate.
Age appropriate.
You think you're ready? You think you're ready? Here's what it is. And we didn't have to have that conversation again
anymore. It was a wrap.
Yep.
And I know as we're getting ready to close, you guys are coaches on a whole different level. And I think we all know that for me, I think a lot of the synergy is around mindset, right? And intent. How do we help the coach when the coach is tired? And the coach still knows you got to coach the game.
Well, I say I'm a player coach. So I look at my coaching much like I did my parenting. I'm playing this game, and Rooted and Rebooted is one of my products that I believe it is probably the most important product that I've created. And so when I'm talking to my coaches, player coaches, the first thing I say is you have to master your own game. And your own game is by you managing and mastering your 7 keys, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, relationally, resourcefully, and purposefully. So if your game isn't tight in your 7 keys, then your coaching game is off. So, I take it very seriously that I be an example to the people that I speak to by first holding myself accountable to making sure that especially those first 4 keys, because those first 4 keys only have to deal with you spiritually. This is what roots you to the planet. You've got to decide what roots you to the planet, and then that spiritual root should govern and guide your life, right? So whatever you choose, that's what governs and guides your life. Emotionally, how are you doing? That's why I love that 7 key. I have a 7 key evaluation, and you get up and you look at that evaluation. How am I doing? Especially in these first 4, because they all have to do with me. And what I bring into key number 5 is largely dependent upon how I've handled the first 4 keys. So, for me, I feel like the best way to help anybody be better is to be the very best you. For me to be the very best me that I can be. And then I'm role modeling it. I'm not just telling them it. They literally see me doing it and living it. So then it empowers and equips them to be it.
I echo that 110%. So I don't know. I heard you say your 7 keys. So for me, we call them METs, like your 4 body systems: the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And spiritual and sexual are in the same kind of like slash mark, because sex at the appropriate time and at the appropriate age, and what have you. It's such a spiritual experience of coming together, and we don't know how all the things happen. We think science is telling us all of these things, but we don't really know how this sperm over here goes with this egg, and then voila, there ain't there are no monkeys, gorillas, apes, or anything else that I'm aware of in this 21st, 22nd century that are evolving into humans, or vice versa, regressing. So anyway, so your financial health, all of your wellness, everything that is important to you as an individual is important to me, that I'm walking in that authentic space, that I'm walking in the truth. Like you were saying, Shawny, it's like, if I'm not practicing it, how am I holding you accountable to it? That just makes me judgmental and a hypocrite. Yes. So I get my morning scripture, my meditation, my affirmations before my feet hit the ground in the morning. I'm listening to, and I'm a lifelong learner, I'm listening to things that are infusing my heart and my mind with the positivity that I want to live each day. I'm declaring that every single day. I get in my exercise in the way that I can do it. I'm looking at myself as this whole being, not just as a compartmentalized person, because if I show up as one of those other personalities, then I'm not being true to myself, and I'm only giving a portion of me, right? And I do believe in self-care. I get my 15 to 20 minutes a day at the end of the day to wash the day off of me. So I've created practices, I don't like the word habit. You don't like the word coach. I don't like the word habit. I like practices because it's a daily thing that I'm incorporating every single day to be sure that I'm building up my own bank account, internal bank account, such that I have something to give. And when I'm depleted and I know that, I communicate. I have nothing left to give. Let me reboot. Let me refresh. That's my word. Let me refresh. Let me wash the day off of me so that I can tap into a place where I have a reserve, especially if my kids need me. If they need me, I want to be there. But I communicate. No, you can't take a bath with me tonight. No, I can't do that tonight because I don't want none of this to run off on you. But also, I just need some downtime to replenish. So self-help.
Well, I'm going to take that key, all those helpful hints today, and I'm sure everyone else will too. And if you have anything else that you love to get involved with or be a part of and share or add to or you just, wanted to get a point that you didn't quite get across, or if you want to get a hold of Dr. Knight, Coach Shawny, myself, reach us out, email us at Knight&Craig@gmail.com. Or you know what? Also, you can always, and not because the algorithm says don't do it, so you don't say like or subscribe anymore. So come along and encourage someone else to check out our page on Instagram and Facebook at Knight&Craig on Instagram and Facebook. So
I say join your community.
But I'll have to send you that link. There's actually
say that?
But there's actually a guy that actually has got some algorithmic help from Instagram. There's some real key words that if they're heard, the algorithm stops, takes your posts out of rotation. And it's the like, the subscribe, the follow, those words. There's some real key buzzwords, and there were some of the suggested replacement words are on his link. I'll find it and send it over to you.
Can we say join the conversation? Get on the bandwagon.
Get on the bandwagon, yes.
Wave the flag with us. Like,
yes, you can do that.
Okay, whatever. I just made those
Come
up.
hang out with us.
Yeah.
Come hang out with us,
Yeah, you see that?
RSVP though. RSVP, don't just show up. RSVP.
Exactly. Shoot. But you know what?
We want to be in communication with you.
Exactly. And you can definitely say that, because that's not on the list that I know of that people don't like at the moment. But we love you all, and we will see you all again next week on the Knight&Craig Show.
Thank you, Shawny, for being with us. See you next time.
It was a ball.
Bye.
I came to win, I don't mean to offend. The greatest on the mic, mightiest with the pen. Losing never been a choice, but a line is the same. Ascending, word, bending verse, birth in the gym. Akin to the best, never aiming for less. Opposition so foul, got me calling for rest. Who's next to get bested? Mind, soul, and flesh is antithesis of mess. It's the verses of reading for long. Better catch a God, throw him the scenes. Dreams manifested, you get what I mean? God always had a plan, he created for me. Success only means that I did what he seen. Got the game and the fans locked in like a key. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Yeah, I think we got one.